Hey guys, welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
Mick here, hello.
It's a bit of a weird one today. We had Matt on the show a few weeks ago.
That's Matt Schofield.
Matt Schofield. Oh man, it's just... It was one of the most moving experiences musically I've had, being sat in that room with him, with volume and Matt just being an absolute legend. But one of the things that Matt asked me to do was build a new board for him. So what's going to happen today, Matt has been touring in the UK. He goes home tomorrow. So I literally have today to build the board. We're going to build it here. We're going to drive up to Bristol to the sound check and get it all set up for him. Now, one thing we don't have is Matt's pedals. So I have to use pedals of a similar size than the ones that Matt's got on the board. I found this thing, so we're going to use that just to make sure that everything's in the right place. What I've settled on, I've measured everything out, and here's what we're going to do. So it's the Pedal Train Metro 24, see there? I can get all of Matt's pedals on there, and power supply and everything. And what we're also going to use are these. Now these are the Quartermasters. Now, one thing that Matt does is really cool. If you haven't seen what he does with his delays, go and check it out on the show. It's fantastic. Now, he always has a delay pedal on. It's either a short delay or a long delay, but there's always one on. The two delays are going to go in here. And what happens, and I'll show later, but he can flip-flop between them. And then he has a tuner and 3 overdrive pedals. So we're going to have the tuner in loop 1 here, and then 3 overdrive pedals in these 3 loops. And again, he only ever has one of those on or nothing. So the thing with the Quartermaster is it'll flip-flop between these 4 loops if I ask it nicely. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm putting pedalboard tape on the bottom of the Quartermasters. The pedalboard tape is stuck to the bottom of the Quartermaster, but I haven't peeled the back of the tape yet, and I won't do that until the very end. What that means is I can get everything in position. What has to fit on the bottom here are the 2 Quartermasters, so they'll go here. And the little tremolo that Matt uses will go here. And then we'll have 6 pedals, tuner, 3 overdrives, and 2 delays.
What board is that?
This is the Metro 24. I'm going to put Velcro on the top 2 bars. So this is the stuff that I use. It's really good. It's like industrial strength Velcro. I generally now use pedalboard tape on the pedals and this really strong Velcro on the pedalboard. And the difference with this Velcro is the glue. It's really strong glue. So I'll get that lined up. The way I like to do it is I tape the Velcro right to the edge. Cut that square.
Didn't they stop you using sharp objects?
They have recommended strongly that I stop using sharp objects, but as long as I have a responsible adult near me and I have your name down on the form, then I'm okay. That's nice. Okay, done. I'll let you into a secret. I did actually do a little bit of preparation for this, just making sure that everything's going to fit. And this is, I'll show you this trick with the generator. So the generator, normally we have generator brackets and that sort of stuff that hold it on. The new feet for these Metro boards, I don't know if you can see it there, but the new feet are really low profile. So when they sit really low to the ground. And that means there's not a great deal of space underneath. But I have found a solution. actually Jake, who works for me, came up with this. So basically, the generator will fit underneath the Metro, and it will still sit flat like this. But you can't use pedalboard tape on it. What you need to do is stick the generator flat onto the Metro. At the edge here, I've got a little bit of pedalboard tape so it can't move that way. A little bit of tape there. A little bit underneath this side here. So that is sort of, it stops it from moving around. And now I get some nice long cable ties. It doesn't quite reach, so I need to use 2.
Now, Dan, as a point of interest, while you're doing that,
Yep.
we have had a question on the show about whether having a power supply in such close proximity to pedals can cause a problem.
Yep.
And you had an answer that I found interesting.
So it can do. It all depends on the size of the transformer and how much EMF it's kicking out.
Unbelievable.
Oh, are they EMF, were they?
Yeah.
Ah.
What does EMF stand for?
So electromagnetic field. So what happens is when the transformer is doing its thing, it creates an electromagnetic field, and that field is, you can't really shield against it unless you use this is really
Some sort of superhero thing.
so, exactly. It's covered in lead, kryptonite in the center. But it all depends on sort of transformer you're using, how much EMF it's kicking out, So the generator still does, it still has a transformer inside, it does still kick out EMF, but not, it doesn't kick out as much as a lot of the other ones do. So I still like to, where possible, just because that's what I do, have it on its own. But in situations like this, it's absolutely fine. I've never had an issue having a generator under a board. Yeah, so anyway, you see what's happened there now. I've got the cable ties holding the generator down. It can't move in any direction. So the mains cable goes underneath here. It sits in there. And that sits underneath the board there. So the other thing with the generator is because the generator, it connects, it's modular, so it connects to a distributor and that goes to high current adapters. When we started with just analog pedals, and we first started getting the bricks and those sorts of things, it was fine because we weren't drawing too much current and the transformers didn't have to be too big. But now in the modern digital world where we have Strymon and Eventides and Providence and so many pedals companies doing amazing things, but these digital a lot of these digital pedals draw a lot more current to operate, and they need that current. If they don't get it, they don't sound right. So what's happened is the power supplies, these all-in-one power supplies, have had to become bigger, which is great. But what we do that's a bit different is when we have a pedal that takes a lot of current, we'll use a separate adapter for that current. So it still has a little transformer, the adapter, but it's a tiny little thing. And the amount of EMF it gives off is also tiny because it only has to handle 500 milliamps for that one pedal. It's interesting to me. We have 2 quartermasters we need to power. We have 7 pedals. We've got the tuner, we've got 3 overdrive pedals, that's 4, we've got 2 delays, that's 6, and the tremolo, so that's 7. So 9 9-volt DC pedals to power. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to position 3 isolators under the board, which will give us 12 outputs, so which is more than enough for everything. Each isolator has 4 isolated 9-volt outputs. I'm going to put a distributor here, so I'm going to put 1 isolator here, and and one isolator here. Okay, I put a distributor here, so the generator is going to plug into the distributor, and that's going to distribute power to these two isolators and the isolator that sits there. Every isolator and distributor comes with these cables, your standard 2.1mm cable with cable on the end. I want to power this isolator from this distributor. So again, generator is plugged into the distributor. That's going down here, it's going across here. I need to power this one now. So what I'll do, I will plug the cable in here and I'll measure it up. I don't need to strip any wire, I just need to cut it to length. So if I take the end of the wire and I just separate the ends. Now, there's one wire that has these white lines on it, and the other wire is just black. So the wire with the white lines goes underneath the white tab, and the black wire goes underneath the black tab. And that just pushes in there. Then I grab whatever I used to cut the wires with, I push down on the top, and I push it flat. You'll hear it click like that. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to connect all the power leads for the pedals now, because I want to make sure, I'm not exactly sure where the power supply is on all the different pedals. So I'll do that when we get to the gig, but you'll see that it only takes seconds to do. One thing I do use a lot are these little standoffs. They're really great to keep your pedal board tidy. They'll just stick on anything and you put a little cable tie through them like this, and you can zip up your audio cables or DC cables or whatever you want. It just keeps everything nice and neat, so they're really cool. So the power is all in position. I've tidied everything up underneath the board, basically ready for when the pedals go on, but now we're going to start looking at the audio. We'll get the quartermasters in position. So I'm going to take the bottom of the pedalboard tape off. I've got that one plugged in, I've got you plugged in. Now, patch leads. For all of my builds that I do now, this is pretty much the only patch cable I use. So this is the Evidence Audio SIS system. What I need to do is create a little patch cable that sits between these two. Only has to be really short. So I'm going to cut a short piece here. When the first solderless patch cable stuff came out, I got really excited because I was spending so much of my time soldering, and I thought, wow, I don't have to solder anymore, this is great. But I had problems with them. So I went back to soldered kits until this came out. So this is a solid core cable. I go into depth on this cable in mixed pedalboard build, so if you want to get really deep into it, have a look at that. But basically the idea is this cable has a solid core. So I'm going to peel off the insulation around there. I'll strip it back so you can see the core. See that? Solid copper. These plugs have a little hole with a thread on the inside, and that threads directly onto the copper tip, which then in turn is connected to the tip of the jack. Now, what I love about this is that when I screw that on, that I can pull this and like as hard as I like, and all I'm going to manage to do is, because it's such a short piece of cable, I've actually pulled the copper out. So there it is, the finished article, the tiniest patch cable in the world. And that has a set between the two quartermasters. There, there, and now that's in. I'll just take the tape off the bottom of this one. There we go. The pedals that Matt is using are the same size as these, and the jacks are in the same location. So I'll use these to measure the distance between the loops and the pedals so that I can make the jacks before we go out there, because this is quite time consuming. So I don't want to have Matt sat there with me for an hour while I make cables up. So let's see if we can get this going. So I'm just going to quickly test, make sure that all the audio is going through.
I like that these are all Matt appropriate sounds.
Hang on.
It sounds.
Let's go to Bristol. So, the band is about to start sound checking, so we've got to be really quick. This is Matt's current pedal board. This is the last time you're going to see it looking like this.
Oh, goodness.
Yes. So, yeah, we've literally got seconds to get this done. So, yeah, let's go.
It's a challenge.
It's a challenge.
There you go. You're up to it now.
Oh yeah, let's do it. So I'm just going to move these one at a time from this board. Now all that's left to do is connect the power cables up to the isolators in the back. But I think, Mick, what do you reckon? I think that looks pretty rocking. So again, I've got the cable here, just measure it, separate the ends. Okay, that isolator's done. Now this one is going to have the delays and the tram. Under pressure, ding 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 ding, ding 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 ding, ding 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. I'll finish the connections for the isolators. Technically we're done, but I just want to put some cable ties, make sure that everything's neat. Cable ties locking all the cables down, putting them in position also means that things don't shake around, you know, when you're flying or whatever the case may be. Last, but certainly not least, I've printed out some labels to make it really clear which pedal does what.
There he is.
That's bloody tiny, mate. That is bloody tiny. Along with the mucky muck.
Boom. Time. Okay, it's all done. Finished the build. Just quickly go through with Matt.
Yeah.
Underneath, the power supply is there. All you do is you plug your IEC cable in there.
Perfect.
Cable just comes out the side. I'll just quickly run it back here.
This makes so much sense already. Doing this, it's already making, like, you know, what was I thinking?
So, okay, in normal operation, you've got, you know, you press those on.
Right.
The reason that this will work really well for you is because you obviously you never stack these.
No.
Okay, so what I do here is I press these little buttons in.
Yeah.
And now you go from your tuner, or overdrive, shanks, SOV.
Simple as that.
You never have to turn one off to turn the other one
Because
on.
I'm constantly middle solo going bang, bang, bang.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Same thing with the delay pedals. Like normally, yep.
Yep.
Now you simply flip flop between the delay.
Magic.
And the tremolo is on the output.
Yep.
Okay. So you still manually hit that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're using two amplifiers, you've got your passive device that will just sit
Yep.
off the board.
Yep. Yeah, that
that
actually
cool?
sits on top of the amp.
Top of the amp.
Anyway, so
Okay.
even though I had 2 amps on the other one, invariably I just ran one cable back to the amps and then a couple of short cables after the split there. So
Okay.
magic.
But
And still nice and simple for my brain.
it's easy.
Yeah.
Very easy.
It's a deal.
Dude.
Thank you very much.
Man, it's my pleasure.
Wow.
Okay, let's plug it in and let's see how it sounds.
What's going on?
So, just finished sound check. Sounded amazing.
Thank
from where
you,
I
mate.
was. It was awesome. First impressions, what do you think?
Well, what blew me away actually, aside from the convenience that I have now got to adjust to a more convenient life,
Right.
is that the signal level getting through each pedal now, because they're all just completely doing their own thing when I switch them on, presumably is the explanation, is staggeringly different. I've
Right.
had to put everything down quite a bit
Yeah,
to
right.
get the same gain staging. So it really took me back. I just stood on the Royal Blue Overdrive, which is just a boost, and it sounded like an overdrive. I was
Right.
like, wow, that's pretty. So I would say like probably 2 notches on the
Wow.
dial, like really. So I was obviously suffering from quite a lot of loss.
Yeah, yeah.
I've actually got the old Super Reverb back down half on the volume as well, because it's being hit that much harder by and they're only low output Strat pick. I mean, totally vintage style, the old Fat Boy Foley pickups, Mark Foley. Yeah.
Matt's using his glorious Super Reverb tonight. I haven't heard that amp in quite a while. And it was,
Neither have I.
Oh, man.
It lives in England, so I brought it out because I miss it.
Oh, it's sensational.
Matt, do you think that that extra signal is going to be? Is that going to be problematic to deal with, or is that going to?
No, it's great because it makes everything even more sensitive. So I'm not being quite padded down. So then the guitar volume control works better. The less. I mean, I think we talked about it, but I take the tone control off, the neck pickup off and on a guitar, so I've got less loading. So I'm looking for that all the way through. So now I've got each stage is all less loaded down, and also there's no mucky muck.
There's no mucky muck.
Yeah,
awesome. All right, thank you so much, mate.
Thanks, mate.
All right, pleasure. All right, cheers, guys. See you soon.